night long. Party, party, we like to party, 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 never go home. Party, party, we like to party, 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 all night long. Party, party, we like to party, 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 never go home.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to episode 49 of the Ball Talk Pod. Here to recap the Thunder's 123-107 victory in Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Yeah, that's breaking news. The Thunder are not getting swept. Fantastic news for Thunder fans. Join
as always.
As always,
me,
I'm
Chris.
just hyped up. It's your boy, Chris.
Me, Chris. Ben, I gotta say, it's much better to win than to lose in the NBA Finals. This feels a lot better. I don't know.
I'm sure the vibes on the podcast are probably a little different when people are listening from Game 1 to Game 2.
Yes. Forget the Game 1 podcast. Don't listen to it. Don't listen to it
this
all.
one.
Listen to this one. This is where we're at tonight. We're winners tonight. You got to relish every moment. Someone said it's been, since 2012. What's that, 13 years since our last finals victory? So it doesn't come often. Relish in the victory.
Sweet.
Have some fun.
It's very sweet. Very sweet.
Relish is not sweet. Think of it more like a whipped cream. You know what? Here, Thunder fans, listen to me. Put some extra whipped cream on your pie tomorrow morning. Because that's what we do in Oklahoma. Eat pie for breakfast. So put some extra whipped cream on it.
And that's the Ball Talk Pod. We'll talk to you guys.
And that's how we're going to end it.
No, I mean, just an impressive comeback. It was a game, and I say comeback. It was a bounce back is more so what I mean. A game that obviously was must win in my opinion, and I think in most you can't go down 0-2 going back to their place, especially with how you lost Game 1. The story of the night, I mean, I feel like with this team, especially
hold on just a second. When you talk about, because that's something that the Cavs did and the Knicks did. They went down 0-2, losing both at home. So it feels like that's part of the Pacers' recipe is to get one and then to, go back home up 2-0, which is a great recipe to win series, obviously. So to get this one is massive. You're right. It is. It was a must win, and they got the win.
Well, and you saw Halliburton after the Game 1 win, running back into the tunnel, saying, "We didn't even play that well. Let's go steal another one." That did not happen.
No,
it did not happen.
He punched the chairs tonight. I saw he was punching some of the bench chairs after when they inexplicably waved the white flag with 5 minutes remaining.
That was so weird. Yeah, this is the first time this postseason that the Pacers will not be up 2-0 after the first two games of the series.
Yeah.
So pretty nice. Had to happen. Shai looked amazing. I was about to say earlier, it's like, I feel like every game, the biggest thing is how Shai played, but it's become so consistent and so expected that it's almost like we talk about everything else because you expect Shai to do this. Shai set a record tonight for the most points scored in the first two games of someone's NBA Finals career, passing Allen Iverson. Shai had 72 combined in the first two games. Iverson had 71, but he felt a lot more in control tonight. I know he scored 38 Game 1. I don't have his Game 1 stats directly in front of me, but he filled up the box score. It felt like he controlled tonight's game much better than he did Game 1. I don't know if you felt that, but he didn't score as much, obviously, but picking his spots, I think he hit more Shai shots.
Yeah.
Like he missed a few in that first game that we expect him to make 70% of the time.
I agree.
But he did that tonight.
He had a great flow. It felt like he had like Nembhard and Mathurin especially on the yo-yo, and he was just like kind of sending him out, bringing him back, and then doing something else and getting to his shot. He was just full command of the game tonight. Totally agree.
34, 5, and 8, a block. He had 4 steals. So we've said it all year. Literally anyone that watches the Thunder at all this year has been like, the reason why this team is able to play the level of defense they do is because their best player plays at this level on both sides of the ball. And he's never going to be the guy that you put on Halliburton in the last possession. That's not who he is. That's why you have Dort, Caruso, even Dub. But he's not a mismatch. Like, if he's the mismatch on the floor, that's a problem for the other team. And that was reflected tonight. And it just, looking at this game, it's like we've led for all but
I have the stat you want to see.
Yeah, read it off for us.
I saved the stat. Hold on, let me find it really quick.
I mean, it was 0.3 of a second in game one, and I think they took a lead for like less than a minute in the first quarter tonight, but that was it. I think that was
through 2 games of the NBA Finals. It's 1-1. The Oklahoma City Thunder have led for 91 minutes and 22 seconds. The Indiana Pacers have led for 1:53 seconds.
Yeah. You would think we were up to it, unfortunately. And we're not going to talk about what you got to respond. They responded. The other story of the game, far and away after Shea, was, I think, Aaron Wiggins, and then a close second, Alex Caruso. But Aaron Wiggins saved basketball tonight. And it's just nice to be reminded every once in a while that we have someone on the bench capable of doing that.
And we have him locked up for another 3 years. That feels
on
really
a descending contract. We don't even have to get into salary cap talk.
Let's
but it's
talk
just
about salary cap after we won.
What's the salary cap situation this summer for the team?
Let's talk about the salary cap.
No, Wiggs came in, and I think it was early second, but he had 18 points tonight, 5 of 8 from 3.
Huge threes.
He hit so many, like he created his own shot too. Like it wasn't just him standing in the corner and us finding him off of breaking down the defense and getting into the paint. He broke down Halliburton. Halliburton kind of didn't fall down, but got juked a little bit, and he hit a shot over him. He felt like he was hitting the threes that would silence a Pacers run. Like they'd cut it to 15 or 13. Because that was the biggest thing in this game. In game one, we would get to 12 or 13. And so their little 6-0 run would get it to 8. This game, we got up 23, so their little 6-0 run is still at, 16, 17 points, which still feels massive. And you could sense even in the arena, like everyone I was sitting by, I think you probably felt it too. It was like, we're not out of this. Like even like they took out their starters with 4 minutes left. They hit a 3 to cut it to 17 with 4 minutes left. And the voodoo magic that this team has, you're like, well, crap.
That's the thing. It felt like Rick Carlisle was trying to pull a Bugs Bunny on Elmer Fudd and like wave the white flag in one hole and then shoot him with a gun in the other. Like it felt, maybe it was just me and the way my brain works, but it felt like he was trying to lure Mark into like playing, clearing the benches so that like Mathurin and TJ McConnell can go and hit threes and bring it down to like a level maybe that they have a chance to like hit a last second shot again. It was just like, I don't know, but
it was so weird.
Yeah, so weird. Because they've done it all season and all post game or postseason, especially where they've like come back and they've made these miraculous comebacks with minutes left. They came back from, was it 15 with 2 minutes left against the Knicks or something?
I think it was, they were down 9 with a minute left. I know that, but
yeah, that's crazy.
And it's what they've done all year. It's what we said on game one's podcast is like, it feels like an outlier, but that's what they've done. Eventually it's no longer the outlier. It's the truth. Right. So that was interesting. And they even cut it to like 15. And I kind of was like, this is a little close. And especially after game one and every voodoo magic vibe that I got from the team, it was like, we're not out of this yet. Yeah. And that's how it's going to be the rest of the series is how it's going to feel. I mean, until the clock hit 0, that's when I'll be like, all right, we're good.
Well, because he pulled the starters because like they didn't have a flow, or do you think it was more like Pascal Siakam had 3 fouls in like the first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, and so we were in the bonus with 9 minutes left? Like, do you think that had a port where it's like it could get really choppy? Like Shea was getting to the line, and Dub was getting to the line. They were calling these fouls out front that the Pacers were like grabbing and doing all sorts of things. Do you think his fear was like we would just like bog it down, sort of like Denver did?
I mean, the context of it all for sure, I think that played a part. And that was the big reason why in that game one blowout or blown lead in the semifinals against Denver, the reason they came back from that is because they were the team that was in the bonus so early. And so even with that comeback, they knew they were going to be able to score when, like, if the Pacers were already in the bonus early in the fourth, there's no chance they were pulling guys.
Right.
But with our free throw shooting, how the game was called, it was a weird game. I thought, I mean, we were talking about it at halftime when we came over and talked to you, but like my dad and brother were there, and Brian and Alex sat with us, and it was like, how many backcourt violations can be called in an NBA game?
And they called a walking, and like the Pacers were like
Twice.
stepping out of bounds. Like it was a strange game for sure.
It was a weird game. But Kenrich Williams went up for a dunk and got blocked, but on
Through
replay
the
it was
rim?
very obvious that I think it was Thomas Bryant. His hand was in the net on the like that can't be missed. That goaltending call, they're like lucky it's not anything that's come back, or Shea scored right after because we got the ball back, so we ended up scoring on the possession. But that's a play that can't get missed in an NBA Finals game, and in my opinion, should be reviewable, because that's just too obvious.
Yeah, but
But-
if you go down a dark rabbit hole. If
You
start-
do, and I'm also a Thunder fan, and it's beneficial to my team. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We can talk about during the offseason. We can talk about how we feel about instant.
We'll break down
replay and
every
things
rule.
like that.
Every rule.
Yeah, every rule.
um.
What else stood out to you, Ben? What else stood out to you?
Another big thing outside of just like individual performance, Mark, he stuck with the starting lineup that he did game one, which I don't think was like Kaysen starting is not the reason we lost game one. His rotations felt more natural, and there was always a big on the court. We never went small, and even like Hartenstein, I think he only had 3 points, but he felt impressive. Like he felt like he impacted the game with only 3 points. You know, he got 8 rebounds. He had 4 assists. It's something this team still struggles with. And sometimes it's just the way the ball bounces. But there are so many times, especially at the end of the second quarter, where we should have, the Pacers got the last 4 shots of the quarter. They only got 1 point from it.
That was the voodoo magic tonight.
But like every ball was bouncing their way. But if you like, you know, we talked about in game one, if you have a big on the court a little bit more in that fourth quarter when we were going small, a lot of their offense felt like it was from
Rebounds.
offensive rebounds. And you didn't see that tonight. You know, we got rebounded by a massive number in game one. They bounced back in the rebounding category. We won the rebounding battle 43 to 35.
Well, to your point, it helps to have a big on the court to rebound.
Yeah, and we also like let's see. We took the same amount of shots. We
That
took
helps.
12, I think it was 12 or 16 more shots in game one. And so there weren't as many opportunities. Turnovers definitely weren't as prevalent. It almost felt like we turned the ball over a lot more this game. They had 15, we had 13. You texted me about it, and that game, you could sense the nerves at the beginning. Like there were 2 or 3 possessions in a row where your 3 studs, Shea, Dub, and Chet, all just kind of fumbled the ball. Like they didn't have it swiped at. They just kind of just couldn't hold on to it.
Butterfingers.
Yeah, you said that they'd gone and eaten a buttery tin of popcorn
Yeah, but
before the game.
It feels more like you remember the backyard baseball game. They had those power ups. One
Mm-hmm.
of the hitting ones is you could hit a butter ball or whatever. It felt a little bit like the ball was just like squirting out of their hands to there, because like you said, there wasn't many turnovers. Like it didn't feel like we were turning. It just felt like we could never get a clean look at the basket. Like
Yeah.
particularly, I can't remember who was in the corner, but they got fed a ball and they like caught it and it dropped, and like they couldn't get a clean shot. They had to pass it out. So it just felt like
Yeah, it was Kaysen. But
yeah, it just felt like we couldn't get clean looks, and our hands were just, a little sweaty from the nerves, like you talked about.
yeah. And I think, one of the big talking points from game one was how Dub and Chet played and how they responded. And I think it's very nice to be able to sit here and say that they bounced back, but I still don't think we got either of their best efforts tonight. And so, Dub had 19, but he was 5 of 14 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. I love that he's taken 5. That's something we've talked about all year. Because if he can hit 2 or 3 in a game, it really tips a game. He was 8 of 9 from the free throw line, which was fantastic. But Mark said it in his post game. What Dub does all over the court, not just offensively, is such a huge reason why this team is so good. He can guard everyone, his wingspan, and how he's able to rebound from his size and his position. He can guard 1 through 5. It's something that most teams don't have, and it's a luxury that the Thunder have with him. So even when he only scores 19 on 5 of 14, I mean, Mark will tell you even in game 1 that he was very impactful, and he was. But to the naked eye and people who, I mean, including us and most people, it's you don't realize it because he's guarding Siakam and then switching on to Halliburton and then having to initiate offense. I thought he was still anxious and nervous in the first quarter, which was kind of uneasy because you're like, well, crap, he's about to go run the second unit in the second quarter. But then I think that's when the team kind of like went on a little bit of a run and it felt like he was a huge catalyst to that.
Initially, that's definitely where we got our spark and got up to that 19-21.
Well, it helps when Wiggs and Caruso are in the game hitting threes. But
yes, shooting threes is good. But even to your point, Jalen Williams he shot 9 free throws. Like getting to the line is huge, and making them guard you and making them foul you is huge when you're not having the offensive power nights that we know he can have. And so maybe you could think of this as more of a runway for him to take off this next 2 games.
So I can tell you this, we're going to need at least one game from him where he can go score 25 plus to go win one in Indiana, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I don't know how Indy shoots the ball at home. I'm sure it's good. But
I'm sure it's better.
I feel like they shoot the ball good anywhere.
Yeah. The Pacers. Go ahead.
I was going to say, did you see what Jaylen Brown said? It was last year during the Eastern Conference Finals where he's like, those guys, there's just some magic to them. They just turn into like Larry Bird or Michael Jordan during the game. Like there's something in the water in Indiana.
They have. It felt like they were still hitting timely threes tonight, even when the game was, like I said, it was to cut it to 17 instead of 6.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
They were 14 of 40 tonight, so they came down from shooting, I think, 46% game 1 to 35.
Yeah.
Which was, law of averages. It's kind of expected. We shot 14 of 36, 38%. So a good, we didn't like shoot the lights out of it, but it was a competitive number that obviously helps whenever, if the Thunder shoot 38% every game, they might win in 5 from 3. But they shot 39% from the floor as a team. They got it back up to 48% tonight. So just a bit more of a flow.
I think that's the bigger number to look at. Getting back up to that 48 to 50% from the field is something that has been like our staple all year. We've shot a lot of threes, right? We don't shoot the most in the NBA, but we're really effective and consistent in the mid-range, and our field goal percentage is usually pretty high, really decent. So
Shea takes a lot. When Shea takes shots, it definitely helps. And he was 11 of 21 tonight. But yeah, Aaron Wiggins 6 of 11, Caruso 6 of 11, Chet was 6 of 11. He felt loud at the beginning. He like when we started pushing it to 15 to 18. He again gets too close to the line. He had another one tonight where it counted for his toe on the line, so it was a 2 instead of a 3.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
He hit a 3, but he at least stretched them out. Even if it's on the line, the scoreboard reflects a 2-pointer, but how Indiana then responds and reacts to him, regardless of if it's a 2 or a 3, it spreads them out more. It provides better driving lanes, especially if he's screening too. They're not going to show as hard onto Shea or Dub, whoever he's screening for, if he's hit 1 or 2 jump shots from 28 feet or 30 feet, like whichever one. It just lets them know he's there and he's capable. And when I almost feel like the magic number for him is if he scores 15 points, it's very hard to beat the Thunder if he can get to 15. And if he gets 20 to 25, which he's more than capable of, it's damn near impossible. But him with 15 tonight, 6 rebounds. He had a huge block on Obi Toppin. 1 of 3 from 3, but a bounce back nonetheless. But again, I still think for those two, 2A, 2B players, the best is yet to come in this series.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at on the Pacers side, Nesmith had 14. He hits loud threes, man. He's a great player.
Loud threes.
Yeah.
How long
Like,
has
he's
he been at the Pacers? Was he drafted by the Pacers or did he
he's
come from
drafted
somewhere
by
else?
the Celtics and traded for Malcolm Brogdon.
This season?
No, like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But he's a heck of a player. I'm curious. I mean, I don't think it really impacted him tonight, but he did sprain an ankle. I think he's probably, at least he sprained an ankle in the next series. So I feel like he probably is kind of coming out of that a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I think the biggest key for the Pacers is Siakam. And he was 3 of 11 tonight. He had 15 points, but 8 of those were from the free throw line. And
I felt like he
if
went to the
he's
free
not
throw line
going,
so often.
if he's not going, that it's especially against how we play defense, it's so much harder because we can attack closeouts more. He's their best driver.
Yes.
So if Halliburton, Dort picked up a second or third foul, and I wasn't really that worried about it. It was early. It was in the early second quarter, I think, and I was like, Halliburton doesn't really drive, so I'm not really concerned that when he was guarding Ant last series. Ant puts his head down, gets to the basket, and depending on how the ref sees it or calls it, any drive could lead to another foul. And Halliburton, I just never feel that. And we didn't feel Halliburton in this game until late. He had 3 points at halftime.
Yeah, it was a lot of that, like, better luck next time, too late to start now kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. They still haven't had a player score over 20 points in a game this finals through 2 games.
I guess that's just what they do. I mean, Andrew Nembhard going 1 for 4, Miles Turner going 1 for 5. Those are big time guys who last game hit really timely shots in the fourth quarter. Miles
Obi
Turner
Toppin
hit
was
2,
1 of 5.
and Obi
He
Toppin
hit
going
5.
1 of 5. So it's just like, and they're going to shoot better next game, so we got to come out and we got to play
Especially
good
at home.
defense, and
Especially at home.
right.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Game 3 is Wednesday night in Indiana. I mean, let's get a vibe check before we head out. I mean, how are you feeling about the series as a whole? How are you feeling about, obviously it's not great that it's 1-1 when you've led for what's like 98, 99% of the minutes, but how do you feel going to Indiana for 2 games?
It feels like it's a 5-game series to me. And like the Thunder always say, it's 0-0 now. So I feel like we're starting over again. And I kind of like that. It's gonna, I'd love to go and win it. I'd love to go win game 4 or game 3. I'd love to win game 4 too, but I'd love to go win game 3 and put the Pacers on their heels and make them make shots when it count. Like make it shots when it's difficult, when it's hard, when you're down in the finals.
Yeah,
But-
they've never trailed in a series.
So make them do that. Go win game 3 and see what happens, right? My vibes are high. I had to look around and tell myself today, while in the arena, we're in the NBA Finals. Like, this should be fun. This is what we've talked about all year, what we've wanted to do all year. Have some fun with it. So I'm trying to turn my frown upside down and get some life back into me when I watch games, because according to my wife and Big Al, I don't seem like I'm having very much fun.
Well, hopefully the Thunder give us some reason to have a lot of fun over the next week.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations right now. If you told me that we won both in Indiana, I'd believe you. If you told me we split in Indiana, I'd believe you. I think this team's too good to drop both, honestly, and I'll knock on wood for that and scare my wife who's getting ready for bed.
I knocked on glass to save your ass.
Thank you. We need to cover all
Basis.
all bases. But winning game 3 would be massive. It would set a tone. It would send a message, especially after how you dropped game 1. And then it makes game 4 the biggest must win of the Pacers season. And you see how they react when they're tense and tight, because they haven't had that this year. So I'm excited to see it. The Thunder have already opened as a 5-point favorite, which is kind of on par with how we've seen them on the road in the previous series. But I'm excited, man. You got to hit shots.
Got to hit some threes.
You need a Dub or a Chet, or you need 2 or 3 guys to shoot it well outside of Shea. But I also wouldn't be shocked if Shea went and won one by himself. Went out and did it.
That'd be awesome. A 50-point game in Indy.
Would love it. Would love
That'd
it.
be so sick, Ben.
But we're going to have to wait because the NBA Finals is spaced out. This series, we play Wednesday night and Friday night. So Indiana gets the every other day instead of us, which whatever. One thing I want people who are listening to do before we head out, besides, follow, give us a 5-star, tell your friends, whatever you want to do to help spread the ball talk word. Let us know what your thoughts are on let us know what your thoughts are on the NBA getting bullied into putting the trophy on the court via CGI during the broadcast.
Wait, what?
Yeah. It's something that people have been complaining about for game 1 and game 2, that there used to be, like a giant Larry O'Brien trophy and the final script letters all over the court back, all the timeless classics when Jordan was there, even when we were growing up and watching the Lakers and Spurs. And even when we were in the finals in 2012, it looked like the finals court. And in game 1, it just looked like a regular season basketball game outside of the signage and like the LED lights and everything around the arena. And then the padding on the goal. That's the only thing that said the finals on it in the entire arena. But tonight, after everyone had kind of said anything, instead of putting ads on the court all the time, they would mix in like a little mini Larry O'Brien trophy that when there was a time we were waving a flag pregame and it was like showing up on the flag because they were trying to project it on the court, but it was covered. And so people were like, we just bullied the NBA into doing this. Apparently it looked awful. Apparently the graphics were terrible. But
Adam Silver is like a little kid who wants the toy because somebody said it was really cool and he's never played with it. And it's just like, come on, Adam Silver, have some balls, do it next year, do it proper. I would love for the court to be different, right?
I said they're looking at it next year to bring it back.
Well, we're not guaranteed next year.
No one is.
I want it now. Ugh. But I wish it was different. It would signify the moment and dignify it with the respect it deserves.
Yeah, and Mike Breen gave a bang in the first quarter tonight because he forgot he didn't do it for Halliburton's game winner. And so he did it as like he's like, I owed you that one. And so it just goes to show that Twitter might be running the NBA in the broadcast.
Doris is internally online. Reggie Miller or who? It's Richard Jefferson. Yeah, he's trying to like be everyone's friend and talk positively about everything.
And this is why people come to Ball Talk.
That's right. We give you unbiased, biased Thunder Talk.
We'll give you whatever you want. We're easy. But with that, we're wrapping up. The Thunder win to tie the series at 1-1, heading to Indianapolis for Game 3 on Wednesday night. I believe that tips at 7:30 p.m. So we'll be back after that one to recap Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Appreciate everybody for listening, and we will talk to you again on Wednesday. See ya.
All night long. Party, party, we like to party, party, party all night long. Party, party, we like to party.